Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. This is our seventh installment of the Homes and Money Mastermind, and I'm excited to have our guest with us today, which is Danny Barron. And I'd like to say that Patrick Braddock is on this mastermind with us as an attendee, and he told me at their last event, he's like, "You got to have Danny on." He's like, "Danny's killing it with events. You got to have Danny on." So, Danny, here we are. I'm really excited about this. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I know you were in the magazine, I think 2 months ago, maybe three, in your Bengals jersey, and so obviously there's all is well in Bengal land right now. So thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah, dude. How can you not be pumped about our Bengals right now? Dude, I feel like that was the tides turning, was the magazine cover seemed to shift gears for Joe Burrow and the boys.
Had to have been the white jersey. Had to have been the white jersey. Yeah. So Danny, where are you from?
So I'm Cincinnati originally, which is a lot of the stuff we'll talk about today is pretty much that being local, born and raised. And I had this conversation with an investor the other day. She was joking about having no idea where Lebanon was, and she lives in Pleasant Ridge. And I kind of laughed and was, well, Scott Ferguson's on here. He knows about Lebanon. I kind of laughed and I grew up in Maineville. So I was at the YMCA in Lebanon every single day learning to play basketball. And then I was homeschooled, which is my fun fact for everybody. And when I was homeschooled, all of our co-ops and sports leagues and everything were across the entire city. So I practiced basketball everywhere from Anderson to going and playing teams on the west side to Sports Plus in Evendale to learning to play basketball in Lebanon to then traveling to Oklahoma for tournaments. So I feel like as a homeschooler, you just drive everywhere. And that's one of those with our church in Milford, basketball everywhere, played Little Miami sports growing up until they didn't let me play in high school. So that's where I was everywhere. I just feel like I drove across this city my entire life. And I've always been a big sports fan. So getting to Bengals games, Reds games downtown. And this career is just like the perfect combination of knowing all that stuff. And even as an indoor soccer guy, if anybody on here has ever played soccer, you got to go to the west side to play any good indoor soccer. Soccer City's over there. The Western Sports Mall is over there. So a lot of even our clients now are people that I've played sports with, was homeschooled with, went to school with. I went to Cedarville University, which is close enough. People from Dayton moved to Cincinnati. Our whole business is founded upon everything I just said. It's just that I've been involved in stuff my whole life and kind of gotten those connections and made friendships across the way.
Sure. So you kind of teed this up perfectly, but how did you get started in real estate and when?
Good question, man. So with real estate specifically, I came out of school. I was at Cedarville. I actually went in undecided. I was that guy that just had no clue what I wanted to do in college. Decided after an entire year at school of being an undecided major, I had no classes left except if I picked a major. So I ended up picking business, going into and getting thought processes around I'm going to have a desk job someday was like my mindset. Like, you know what I mean? Like went out, bought the collared shirts and the ties and was like, oh, this is me now. Probably end up in sales. So I don't all the time. I had no clue what I was talking about. So ended up working for out of school a market research company. And that was a connection from a guy I played soccer with, one of my best friends. His dad was the CEO at a market research company called Seek Company. So did 2 to 3 years in market research, got promoted a couple times and had that moment in life that many people have where you're like, I don't like this. What the heck do I do now? So had that moment. And actually at that time, a local builder, you guys will all know, Justin Doyle Homes. Justin Doyle went to church with me. I was playing basketball with him once a week. We golfed together occasionally. Fantastic golfer, by the way. He reached out and said, hey, I don't even know what you do for a career right now, but I know you could sell my houses and I want you to be in our model home, meet people when they come in. These houses are going to sell themselves. And jumped on the opportunity. So abandoned a career, which was a lot of travel and market research and consulting, to go work specifically selling new construction for Justin Doyle. The shift, and he would be really open about this if you asked him, I was his first person in Dayton. He was trying to push out of Cincinnati to Dayton. So that was a bumpy road as a new brand in a new market. It was a little bit tough to get things going on that. But once I got into it and realized I really liked the house stuff, and my job as one of his reps was to reach out to realtors all the time. This will shock no one. Realtors were terrible at responding, and you couldn't find their email addresses online. None of them used video. Honestly, I was looking at it like, how are these people doing and making this much money and getting this much business when they're terrible at what they do? Like, it doesn't make any sense. What I now know is that we just don't respond to new home reps, but I didn't know that at the time. So getting into real estate was then working with, and Justin's the one that looked at me across the table and said, hey, I would do anything to keep you here. I love you. You're a good friend. If I was you, I would go get a real estate license. You seem to have an affinity for that. I think you can do well with that. And I had kind of gone before him and said, do you think this is a good idea? And he's the one that put the stamp and was like, yep, you have my blessing. I think you'll kill it. And his advice was, go kill it. And since then, been in real estate. I was in 2018 in June. I finally got a license. So I've been licensed just over, what are we coming up on? 2020.
Wow. Wow.
Under 5 years. Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah. I guess I had always thought that real estate agents would think that things were difficult and go be builder reps. I hadn't thought, like, how often do builder reps then go into real estate?
Yeah.
But
Good,
it makes
it's a
total
good question.
sense.
I
Yeah.
know some that have done both. And
Yeah.
I think there's a couple people in our office that used to be at Fisher or Drees, I think. And I think just the flexibility and freedom, like what killed me, man, was just the open houses on Saturdays and Sundays. Like my off days were like Monday and Tuesday. I'm like, if you
Yeah.
met me for 4 seconds, you would already know I don't want to be booked all day on Saturday and Sunday. Like that
Sure.
was just the worst. So I was missing friends' weddings to sit in an open house when no one came. Like that was just the worst stuff ever.
Yep.
So even
Yep.
at this point in my business, I'm very strategic in spending time with my wife and prioritizing my family and my time and my commitments outside of, hey, sign me up for a long open house, or hey, I'll show a house at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Therefore came about building the team to kind of promote the lifestyle that I want to maintain while being able to attack this with other people. And that was something I knew. I'll shout a guy out, actually. Ryan Gillen in Dayton is the first person I ever saw with a real estate team. And he was 27 years old at the time. He's the first person, I had that moment where you're like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I looked at Ryan Gillen and was like, that is what I want to be when I grow up. And
Wow.
my goal was to build something similar to what he had done with my own flair, and going and being a part of Keller Williams was a huge part of that, because they are so good at working with and promoting team culture, and building up and allowing us to have systems that make sense for a team. So I knew from the day I started, I was never doing this alone. I'm not a lone wolf. I was a basketball and soccer guy, not a golf and tennis guy. I play golf now, as you know, but not
Sure.
enough to hold my own in a true competition amongst people who are really good. But in soccer or basketball, I was the point guard or the center midfielder that could promote everyone else doing better and get assists and occasionally score, but that was not my main thing. My goal is to make other people better. Still the same thing to this day. It's just in a new field.
Sure. So I guess you've answered some of the other questions I was going to ask, which is great. So have you been with Keller the whole time then?
I have. Yep. And that was because of my branding and marketing background. One of the biggest things to me was flexibility of branding. And they were like, hey, you can do whatever you want. Just keep our logo on there as big as the state says it has to be, and you're good to go.
Okay. And then how soon after you started in 2018, did you start building a team?
Good question. So again, knew I wanted to the whole time. Transaction coordinator, Donna Drake, who I love dearly, I brought on. That was after my 12th deal. So first 6 months did 12 deals and then brought her on. I like to think there's some forethought that goes into what I've done and do. And it's not like, hey, wait until something happens and then respond. It's building for where we want to go. So with Donna, I remember she did her first deal she did with me, I think was in January or February, and I had nothing going on. And it felt insane to pay this woman $300 to come on and do this deal with me. But I needed, you know what I'm saying, Scott? But I needed to test run with her and figure it out. And while it was slow, it was good to incorporate her and bring her on. So she was part-time with me until 2000. And then my heart and soul of the team now, Mitch Kenny, joined me in January of 2000. He was a past client who I'd stayed in touch with and been working. They hadn't even bought a house yet, but he and his wife were actively working with me. A good friend of one of my best friends. We'd gotten connected. We were working with him to find a house. And eventually he came and was like, hey, would you ever partner up with somebody? And my response, and this is a really good response for anybody who runs a team and has this moment, was, yeah, I'd hire somebody for sure, but not you. You're way too qualified. You are way out of my league. And he said, well, look, man, like I saw you post on Facebook, like your Keller Williams thing, like you guys did 1.3 million, or you did 1.3 million in sales. Favorite question I've ever heard from anybody in my life. He said, my question for you is, how can I help you get to 2.5? And I was like, what a mindset of a person.
Yeah.
To say, I want to partner with you and use your skill set to excel and create an experience that is going to lift that up even higher. And for me, the ability to work with somebody like Mitch, he even said in that first meeting, I don't need my name in your logo. I don't need to be the guy. I know I can help you scale and build this. I know you love people. I know you love God, and I'm behind both of those things. And I think we can make the experience even better. But really, that what made him even attracted to what I was doing, they were under contract on a house and it was really bad. And they got the
Really?
inspection report back. And I remember telling him, if I was you, I wouldn't buy this. Like, I would back out. And that blew their mind. And he told me afterwards, like, you don't make money if I don't buy this. So why would you say that? And I'm like, because
Right.
I care about you. He's like, but you don't really know me. Like, that doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. And to me, that's honesty and integrity in what we do. Like, I think every realtor should be operating with that. And if you're not operating with your client's best interest in mind, what are you doing? Like, it's not about making a bunch of money. I think if we do the right things, people will continue to come in the door and we will make a lot of money as a result, but it's going to come down to integrity and doing the stuff that we're supposed to do, even if it's not in our best interest in that exact moment. And I
Sure.
think that's the delayed gratification of building a business the correct way. It's not cutting corners to get it done now. It's okay, in the long run, what am I doing today that's going to help us succeed in the long run? And in my world, that is building trust with every person we work with. It's complete honesty, even if it doesn't sell the house. That's the way I
Yeah,
look at it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So then you mentioned Ryan as being like somebody that was like a rock for you.
Yeah.
Um, I assume you got counsel from him, counsel from people within KW. You
Yep.
know, where did you seek most of this counsel for how to build the team?
Yeah, good
You know,
question.
that you built.
So two names come to mind. Aaron Smith, who's now with EXP, was the KW productivity coach at the time. And Sarah Woody, who was at Keller Williams. Sarah is the one actually that when I called her, because I was ready for this in homeschool 7th grade classes with Sarah in a co-op. So we had been friends for a long time. And when I was getting into real estate, I had learned in previous industries, like, talk to people who are doing what you think about doing and see what they're doing. So I called probably 10 people I was friends with about real estate. Sarah was one of maybe the only local ones, because I had friends from college that were doing it in New Hampshire, Indianapolis. And Sarah's the only person I talked to at any brokerage, at any location, anywhere, that said, not only do you need to get into real estate because you'll do really well, don't join a team, do it yourself, and join Keller Williams, because you will have the training you need. You'll have everything you need. Little did I know I was going to be in Sarah's downline. I see what she was up to. But I am happy to be in Sarah's downline. Like, she helped change my life. She literally wrote my first contract for me while not being a part of my team. Right? She was just a good friend. That's it. I sat
Wow.
across her desk and she helped me type it up. And that culture goes a long way. And that within
Sure.
Keller Williams specifically, and even behind something like this that you're doing, Robert, I'm like, we have no secrets. Like, we want everybody to succeed. And if we can see all the communities get better because people do client events like we do, that's awesome. Like, if I was really insecure about my business, I'd be really concerned that everybody would listen to this, do events like we do, and take all our people. I'm
Sure.
not concerned about that. I'm concerned about serving people well. And if we do, I don't think they're going anywhere. And I think if we can help Scott and other people build businesses that are doing events like ours that are enhancing their communities and that's a win for our city, our state, and everybody involved. It doesn't need to be a selfish thing. And I think Keller Williams promotes that culture incredibly. And Sarah knew that, and she knew me, and she knew that was going to be a good fit.
Yeah. So what does your team look like today? I'm going to get to the events thing. That's the big,
Yeah.
that's the, you
Totally.
can't give them everything right away, but what does the team look like today?
It's crazy to think about, because it felt insane to bring on one operations person, like I said, with Mitch. And Mitch and I grinded together for about a year. And that was the best thing ever, because Mitch has done and touched every part of our business now. And he's the one that wrote it all down and started the Google Drive folders with every single thing we've ever done. Like, there are two ways that brains operate: those who just go and do it and forget about it, and those who document everything along the way.
Sure.
So thank goodness Mitch is that guy. And I was told within Keller Williams structure that you need to hire your first person in mind, that they're going to be your future CEO. And they need that mindset of creating and building systems. We sat down at Crossroads to type an offer, and he was like, all right, what'd you type onto that line? And I finished typing it out. And he's like, okay, what'd you do right there? And I was like, bro, I'm going to pass out. Like, this is horrible. What are you doing? We needed it. He now trains every single person. I am not the trainer on our team. And to be honest, I'm not even the accountability one-on-one meeting every week. Mitch is actually a built-in coach on our team for both the operations side and our agent side. And we've now hired within our operations structure. We have 6 people on the ops side, including Mitch, which includes someone for our listings, somebody for our buyers, somebody else who is kind of running our buyers, and we've just jumped up to be our operations manager now. essentially to try to get Mitch more and more out of that, because you can't do both sides all day or you'll die. Mitch is like a robot. And we brought in somebody else who is kind of he's more of our operations coordinator, runs all of our signs, will show houses for us. He's now a licensed agent. He's the wild card that is like everybody's favorite because he can do anything and he has a truck and he will do anything. He's 20 years old, smartest person I know, because he has forced his way into the room with really brilliant people and he won't leave. Like, it's just a really, really smart thing he's doing at 20 years old, to put himself in a room with all of us and find out what we're doing and how he can do it too.
Nice.
I was not thinking that way when I was 20. I think it's really cool.
Nice.
And then we brought in a full-time media guy. So we have a full-time guy that is just pictures and videos. People thought I was nuts. To be honest, I was sick and tired of him being booked up by one of my friends, Miles Greeley in Waynesville, who was a college roommate of mine and got into real estate. I provided him with all of my thoughts and connections, and all of a sudden he was overbooking my people, and I was like, that's it, we're hiring him full time. Miles and I are best friends. We still go on golf trips every year. But Mark, who came in, he's been one of my best friends also, and he's the one that shot my original video when I got into real estate. That was like the first video he ever shot. And then from there, he's grown with me. He does all of our houses. He's bought a drone. He's doing all kinds of stuff for us now. So having that full-time media person he's not like running social media. He's not doing our website. He is literally photos and videos, and that's it. And so good at it. And that allows us to do what we do with content and having everything pumping all the time. We can post it. We just need somebody incredible to go out and document it. So he does all of our events, all of our photos, everything. And on the agent side, this is a whole lot easier. We have like 8 agents. So there you go.
Cool. Okay. So what I've been excited to talk about, and then I have a couple questions after this, but like I said, I've heard that you're great at customer events, client events. What's your vision for that, and how's that morphed into what it is today, and where are you taking it?
Yeah, good question. So I'll take you back to the roots of it. I got into real estate, and my absolute devastating, like, worst thing you could ever say to me is like, hey, go make some cold calls. I'm like, that is just, bro. It's not even like, oh, I don't like that. It's like, I will not do that. I'm not doing that. Like, I absolutely will not. So to take that a step further, I was trying to essentially find ways to run a business using the network I already had. And Laura.Mortgage, who is at my office. I know. Don't team up with Scott. Scott's got his headset on right now. He's like, you're not talking to the right guy about cold calls. I think for Laura.Mortgage, who's at my office, she was the one that told me, hey, sometimes when people with your kind of network, and she had like just met me and realized like, you're a social freak, like what is wrong with you? She was like, people with your kind of network might throw a launch party. So that might be something you would think about doing. So I rented out a space, and before I was even licensed, started to like plan this party. And as soon as I got a license, started to market it, and had 175 people come to a launch party just by promoting giveaways, that I got in a license, that we were doing pulled pork dinner, and that it was going to be at a sweet event space in Norwood called the Living Room, where I'm sitting today. And 175 people. So some of these are like high school teachers, old teammates, parents, friends of my parents from forever and ever. It was like a reunion of people we hadn't seen in 10 to 15 years. Could not recommend something more for somebody starting in real estate. But from there, I left with this high of just like, dude, how can I do that again? And I remember leaving and thinking like, I don't think a 1-year party would hit the same. It's just like an option. And I found a guy who I now know wrote the book, The 7 Levels of Communication, Michael Marr. But I heard him on a podcast. It was the Real Estate Rockstars podcast with Pat Hyben. This is the podcast that changed my life. It's like 52 minutes. And episode number 300 and whatever. But if you go search Real Estate Rockstars events, it'll pop up. Essentially, he talks about the structure, and Keller Williams always preaches a 36 touch plan or a 40 touch plan or whatever, to make sure you're in touch with all of your clients and your whole database multiple times a year. What he said was, if you throw a client event, you can take advantage of that. This is really dumbing down his 52 minutes to one point. Yeah. If you take advantage of each client event, you can get 10 touch points per event easily, throw 4 events per year, and you're good to go. And I heard that and I was like, what? How is that possible? And he went into detail saying, you're throwing an event, right? So Robert decides to plan an event. Robert sends out, as you did for this, you send out a text message blast, and then you send out an email blast, and then you might call somebody and remind them about it. And then you might make a Facebook event, and then you might send out a mailer to their house and then shoot them another text and then send them the RSVP link to see if they did it yet. You can get all those touch points. And I'm sitting here thinking as I'm listening, not to mention the freedom of just posting on social media. We can just pump it out on Instagram and Facebook again and again. We can make YouTube videos. We can just have fun ways of going about doing this. And we, of course, at the time was this guy. So I started throwing what the kids lovingly call Danny parties, which were basically a lot of questions at the beginning of like, why are you doing, what is going on? Why did you rent a trampoline park for us? And the only answer was, I just want to be able to give back to you guys. Obviously, I'm running a business here, but like no charge to you, no catch, and no lender speaking at the events or title people promoting anything. Just straight up, we're throwing a party, no catch, no strings attached. And also, it's not just for clients, it's for anybody. And Michael Marr is the one that introduced that concept to me. It doesn't have to be a client event. It can be a prospecting event. It can be anybody that wants to come can come to this thing. And as we built that out, my goal internally just became, how do I throw better parties and bring in more people, to the point where I was like, okay, we got 200. How do we get 300? Okay, we got 300. How do we get 400? And it all culminated into last year having at our Reds game, we had 1,300 people RSVP to come to our Reds game, which includes when they show up, they get a bag with every single person gets a t-shirt in their size, some bubble gum, sunflower seeds, and a drawstring bag, free ticket. Welcome to the game. It thunderstormed like crazy the night of our game. It was like a 2-hour delay. Worst case scenario, 900 people still showed up.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm not going to a free Reds game if it's thunderstorming, right? Like no chance. So
the Reds would thank you for that, because I think you might have had like 10% of their attendance last year for that event.
Bro,
you might partner with them every year now.
I know our section was like booked out, and then you look around the stadium, it's like, well, I guess you guys can go sit wherever you want. So that just built up, and the idea behind it is not we must throw the perfect event that is perfection and everybody has the best time ever. We want to, that's a benefit, but it's actually how do we reach out to people, and the response of somebody being offered something is a whole lot different than the response of somebody who's being asked to provide you with, hey, do you have any referrals you can give me? Or, hey, just wanted to check in and see if you were looking to sell soon. Or like, I don't even want to read the scripts or know what's being said. Like, I know some of them are really good, and I have read some. I'm like, I could do that, I guess. But when I call, I want it to be genuine. I want it to be offering something. And to be honest, with the systems that we have now, we've taken up mind share, and people know what we're doing. They see the events coming up. They've been to some. And my biggest thing and my biggest takeaway from my original launch party, I will never throw an event again without having a video and photos afterwards. Like if you get professional documentation, then even for the people that didn't come, they get to experience it afterwards by seeing it posted. Tell me you've been to an event and then they post a 2-minute video and you didn't watch it to see if you were in it. Like if you went to the event, you're watching the video. Like Patrick sends out a Real Producers video. I'm watching it to see if anybody got my mug in the video. It's just part of humanity. So and nobody will be offended by being invited to anything, like unless it's something crazy, but like we don't do crazy stuff. So with me, my lens for which we do events on our mass scale is I am a Baptist church worship leader. What can I throw that the families in the front row with 3 kids between 3 and 10 can come to and have a good time? I'm not doing open bars. I'm not like, people can do whatever they want, but for me, my crowd, that's just such a miss. So you have to know who your target is. And this is where like people can't and shouldn't try to do what I'm doing. They should do their version of it. And even in the last month, I've distilled down what it is that I do. So this is very, very simple for you. All of our events are just me on steroids. What do I love? I love golf. So I threw a golf outing. And what's my favorite food? Chick-fil-A. So I provided that for breakfast. Who do I love? The Reds. So what do? I take everyone to the Reds game. What do I love? Trampoline parks. So I took everyone to a trampoline. I'm like, if I enjoy it and it's something that I can blow up to a scale where other people can come enjoy it too, then that's going to be really fun. So we're doing in January one that I'm super pumped about, and we'll just leave it at that for now. And it's something that I love, and I'm just going to blow the crap out of it and see who wants to also come take part in something that I'm thrilled about. Nice. So really the thought process is not let's replicate what someone else did. To be honest, Michael Marr in his podcast, the examples of his events were really lame. It was like the classic, like, oh, Pi Day, or like on Arbor Day, come pick up a tree from the office. I'm like, how many of my people are driving to Columbia, Tusculum to snag a tree? Like a zero. That's
Yeah,
not.
well, I mean, Michael's in what, Kansas City, Missouri. It's a little
Yeah.
bit different out there in the Midwest, and he's an old Zig Ziglar guy, so he's pretty old school.
He's awesome, man. So I
Yeah,
reached out to him. It occurred to me probably 4 months ago. I was like, I literally might be this dude's best case study ever. And he doesn't, but he doesn't know I exist. Like, it was this weird moment where I was like, I should at least tell him. So I reached out and just emailed him and was like, hey man, here's who I am. Here's how you changed my life. Thank you. Like, I just feel like I should thank you. And within 12 minutes, he had emailed me back. And I was
that's
like,
awesome.
I expected this to go to some secretary. So I felt like emailing LeBron James. It's like, he's not going to respond to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
But apparently he's more accessible than LeBron. So
sure. So do you have a plan then for how many events you're going to do a year? Do you do one a month? Are you trying to do one a quarter?
yeah.
Are they seasonal? Like, are you having a Christmas thing, or
So and this is where like the budget part comes into it too. Like, what are you doing? How much does it cost? Like, we do, typically the plan is 4 per year.
Okay.
As we've grown, I'm way more flexible on that because we love to do a launch party for each agent that joins.
Oh,
And
nice.
some of those are smaller scale. Like, we're going to give you guys $5,000 to go do whatever you want, and we'll be there and support you and film it and post it, and you can do whatever you want with it. So our most recent Kentucky agents that joined did their own super awesome bougie little coffee shop launch party, super classy. And it was awesome. And it was totally them. And they got to invite their 100 people. They wanted to be there. We've done drive-in movies where we did it in the name of the new agent. So Johnny and Courtney's launch party, a drive-in movie. It actually had nothing to do with Johnny and Courtney. It was just a drive-in movie event. We slapped their name on the front to let them promote to their people that it was their thing. So that's a part of our value prop, is to say, we're going to buy all of your people that you want to bring this stuff. So one of our agents brought 300 people to the Reds game, 300, and he didn't pay a cent. So that value prop is something that I believe in to keep people around, because in the long run, what we want to do is actually have a culture that people want to be a part of and they see the value. It's not comparing it on a daily basis if they could make 10 more cents somewhere else.
Sure.
And I continually remind people that I'm making about the same percentage of my checks as they are, because I'm funding all of this in our ops team. So it's not like I'm crushing it over here in the world making 100% of commissions. Like, we are forking money towards stuff. The low end of events we've had with sponsorships covered. I think I threw an ice skating event for $50 or something like that. And the event we're doing in January will probably be $60,000. So it just ranges in price of what we're willing to do. So to answer your question, we were planning on doing a Christmas event until our January event panned out. And now we're just going to do that and wait until the Reds game.
So it's really funny you say that. I have a peer that's in a coaching group with me. He's out in San Francisco, and he just did an event with Ryan Serhant. And I asked him, and I said, Arjun, what did that cost you? And he said the total event was like 160,000. I was like, oh my gosh. He said, but they sold tickets to agents to attend, and he made up about 100,000 of the cost. So he's still out 60, but he had 48 hours of access with Ryan Serhant. He said it's unbelievable. So
and the exposure that you get from that, or the wow factor. This one coming up, and the reason I'm so excited about it, it's going to be the first one where people go, how did you pull that off? Like, and that's where we want people to live with our group, is are you kidding me? Of course you did.
So you got Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame in January. We can write that down. That's amazing.
So it's like the equivalent of that, except in the Christian youth group world. So you'll see.
Nice. Okay. So one more question on the event side. Do you do all of the planning, or do you have somebody specifically on your team that has gotten really good at this? And I mean, because we talk about being highest and best use of time. After talking with you for the last 30 plus minutes, I would say like this might be right up your alley, but obviously you've got to sell houses too.
Yep. And the beauty of that is recognizing and seeing the skill sets of the people around me, and like, they had us make a list recently at an event I was out of. What do you do? What do you do in your business? And mine was 37 things too long. And a lot of that, though, it could have been 57, but 20 of them have been handed off. I'm really trusting of people once I hand something off, but I recognize that what makes our team tick is the creative vision, our social media, and the combination of social media and event marketing, and then throwing really good events. what I have left out of that, because I've always told people it's social media and it's events that make us tick. What I've recognized recently is that we are also totally a merch provider. So I had not realized how much money we spend on Yetis and sweatshirts and t-shirts and swag items. Like, we spend dumb money on really nice stuff to give to people because we want to have a luxury appeal. So I'm not doing the Walmart Yeti cup. We're doing the real deal when we give it out with our branding on it. So the combination of those three things, I've recognized things like, I don't have to be the one to order the Yeti cups. I can have the design in mind and I can approve somebody else doing that. I don't have to be the one to set up the administration table at the event or run it. Our goal for all of our agents is to not have responsibility at the event so that they are with their people the whole time. Because we have an operations team of 6 people and a lot of spouses that help out that can run all of that stuff seamlessly while we are doing actual interacting with people that's genuine, because we have 5 minutes to talk to them instead of, hold on, I got the next person in line, but it's good to see you. That just doesn't quite hit the same. So allowing our people to thrive in that. Amber, who's the listing coordinator on our team, actually went to Sinclair for event planning. So
nice.
Her on the team, it's not even like she brings this like superstar power that no one else could do, but very practically, she's really good at it. She's been trained in it. And she actually joined our team during the height of COVID in 2020 as an events intern when there were no events, so that she could graduate from Sinclair because she needed her hours or whatever. And it's played out hilariously because as events have come back, she's just been a huge asset to us. I think after running like a couple virtual giveaways that year for us. So the pieces of it now that I'm in charge of are the vision. And in this case, like the one we're coming up on, it's been communicating with somebody's agent and getting everything ironed out with hotels and blah, 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 blah. So with that kind of stuff, I'm just like, we can't mess this up. I'm just going to focus on this. Once everything is in line, like today, my assignment to people was who's going to be handling the refreshment stuff, who's going to be handling this, who's going to be handling the venue talk, who's going to be handling. So we are at this point, once it's been established and moving, I've now moved into creative, fun marketing about it and setting on the calendar everybody's time when we're going to make videos and take pictures about it, because we have content days specifically to go create. Because what do my agents actually need? They need touch points with the outside world to show they're professional, they know what they're doing, and they're offering them free stuff. Like, that's what we need. So if they have a consistent flow of that, I love having our media guy just book, literally we booked 4 hours today for next Thursday to just go shoot 4 hours worth of specific photos and videos that we need for that event, in addition to some other team stuff with new members joining and that stuff. So I just realized in 2022 and then 2023 coming up, like that's top, like being top of mind on social media is killer. And we found that niche. Like, I haven't wasted time on TikTok. I'm like, my people aren't there. And if they are, they're also following me on Instagram for right now. My database is my social media followers. I do not have like Scott would probably kill me for this, or somebody a little bit more in the, like, you need to have a list space. I've got my list. It's people that is, when I put up an Instagram story, 500 of them see it. So I can show them whatever I want already. And it's very strategic and not putting out there, oh my gosh, life is really hard mindset. It's the, hey, we are having a blast and we're good at what we do and you can trust us. So more trusted and more fun. That's our 2 stuff. If we can be more trusted and more fun, I think we get more calls. That's my view on that.
Nice. Okay, so we've talked about the team. We've talked about your passion for events. Do you have a specific niche that you yourself work with? I think the group, your team, you know, et cetera, is anybody and everybody, right? You've got your core values. Do you have a specific niche that you yourself work with?
I have segmented more into listing side now. So at this point, and I always wondered like how this would work. And I would say to a growing team, this has been one of my favorite things to like share. Somebody like Miles, who's a couple of years behind me, but his team is blowing up. Like, how do you make the transition of no longer being the one showing them? It's insane. How are people okay with that? It's because as we grew, the texts that I get now don't say, can you come meet us at the house? They say, can you or someone on your team come show us the house? And as soon as they open that door, they're never going to see me in person again. Like, as soon as they say, hey, we're okay with somebody on the team and we're still calling you, I'm like, great, his name is Johnny, he'll be there soon. So for me, the listing side, I know I can do that by showing up to the house, and you guys know this, 2 or 3 times, and running with it and getting it done at a super high level. Amber on my team is killing the actual listing preparation for everybody. And then I'm going in there and making sure it's all looking good before we finalize it. I write my own remarks. I am OCD about photos and videos, and I will be on site almost always for anything that's my listing for photos and videos. And I encourage our agents to do that. I think it sets us apart. I think it allows us to go in and make a house look really, really good when the only assets that house gets are photos and videos. We include videos on every house. If it's one that I think is worthy, I like to put myself in that and even have a 5-second talking part in that video just to show face for our people and basically represent that I could sell their house as well in a positive and professional way. And some of them, if it's somebody that's a little more chill about whatever, we can have a little bit more fun with those videos. But for the most part, we want it to be, look at our media. It's better than everyone else's, and you should trust us to sell your house. That's our thing. I'll hang my hat on that forever. And I think overall, that's where my time is spent, is event planning and working on listing side. I do still show houses occasionally. I think there was a solid 2 months for the last of like maybe a month ago where I didn't go show a house. So like there are times where like it's just nope, I've handed everybody off. And even if somebody's still working with me, they're under the impression that they might go see it with someone else and then call me. But to be honest, on the buyer side, I'd really love for that to just be an expectation that people work with our team. And that's, yeah, is that firepower against me? Sure. But also I think my team are some of the best agents in the entire city. Like their care for people and the people we've brought on, they're not normal people. They are like phenomenal, extraordinary realtors, incredible communicators with people that have their own network of people that are just all about them. So providing leads to them is a big part of my job, which is why I focus on events and marketing. It's to create that staying power for our team because they know I'm bringing in people and I'm handing them to them, or that their people will call them because they know they're associated with us. And as a whole, we're experiencing so much success that people can look at it and go, we know we can trust them, and Sarah's on that team, so we trust Sarah. That kind of thing. That's the way I view building our brand.
Nice. Okay. My last question, then I'm going to let Scott and Patrick and Lindsay and Miranda ask a question. I always kind of close my questions with this, but what is the biggest piece of advice you would give fellow agents for succeeding in what we might term as this different market?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you have to be forward thinking and be unapologetically you. I think if people can't get behind who you are anyway, you should just stop. Like you're not going to experience success faking it. You're not going to experience success if you're not a trusted person anyway, unless you're really good at SEO and marketing or something. And everybody has to find their niche. And there's a reason that I'm sitting at the same place I used to work at for this call. It's because I still have the connections and the friendships here that I'm welcome to come in here and do this. And I'm pumped to see him and he's pumped to see me. What makes me tick is relationships and people and providing value, because I actually love people a lot. Like it doesn't have to be fake for me, because it's just like when I see Patrick's ugly mug pop up on this, I'm just pumped out of my mind. When I see Scott, I'm like, yo, it's Scott. Scott and I don't even know each other that well, but I think he's awesome. Like it just, that's just how I work. I think I give people benefit of the doubt the second I meet them, that like, you're freaking awesome. And for me, a big part of my life is my faith. And I think at the end of the day, I don't have to hide from the fact that I love the Lord, and that's going to be a part of my business model, and that we're going to be a high integrity operation, because my values in my Bible don't stand for anything less than that. There's a bigger picture for me than just, hey, it's real estate. For me, this is an eternal perspective on, this is a job in a short lifetime, in the blink of an eye. How am I going to do it? I want to do it really well and glorify God and help the other families. If you think about it, there are 14 people that have trusted me and my business with their family's well-being. And at the end of the day, I want those people to make insane amounts of money and have awesome financial flexibility. And at the end of the day, they're going to have the ability to then take vacations when they want and take their kids to the schools they want to take them to and be a part of the church events they want to be a part of, in a way that maybe if they were stuck in a 9-to-5 wouldn't have been possible. So for me, that's the biggest thing. You have to be who you are. And if you're not a trustworthy person, maybe go reevaluate your life and then do that. And I think in the actual market itself, what I have bet on for years now without seeing, because I'm only 4.5 years in, it feels now, and Scott can comment on this too, like what it felt when I started 4.5 years ago. It's starting to feel like that, where it's like, oh, 7 to 10 days on the market. Oh, 15 days on the market. Whoa, this is cool. I remember negotiating. What I don't remember and like about it is post-inspection agreements. Somebody shoot me. But I think with this market in general, what I've hedged my bets on is that our relationships will withstand any market. We're not basing ourselves on Zillow leads that when those go away, we're toast. What we are basing ourselves on is establishing a brand in the minds of our people and knowing that they will be moving at one point or another, whether some by choice, some by marriage reconstruction, some by job reconstruction, all this stuff. You don't always make the choice to move. Sometimes you have to. And what is not happening now is the person in Madisonville moving one block down the street because the rate's at 3.0, and why not, right? Like we all have those people that popped up for the last, and Robert, I can't imagine how many people you saw. I wasn't thinking about running a pre-approval, but can you run this for me today? So those went away. That means that of the 200 houses or 190, whatever we're going to hit this year, maybe 35 of them that happened earlier in the year aren't going to exist next year. So how are we going to continue to build relationships so that the ones that would have bought and sold anyway, because they are moving for one of those big reasons, that there's no negotiation at all. There's not even another person in their mind of like, oh, I should bid this out. It's just, we know we're calling the Barron Group. And I've hedged my bets on that forever. I'm going to continue to do that. And I love, it's almost laughable to me, laughable in like a good way. Keller Williams shifted their focus from technology to relationships. And I'm like, even when they were preaching technology 4 years ago, I was like, I hear you, and I'm thankful for this stuff, but this isn't it. Like, this isn't the core. And I feel like now EDW is hitting the core of what is going to make real estate tick. And I loved watching Zillow flop on their face with iBuyers and all that. Like, it just shows again and again that we are really valuable out in the marketplace. And I see the stress levels that I can help decrease in my loved ones when I talk to them about how we're going to get their house sold or buy one. Like, you can see the change that you make. And we have a really important role in that. I'll end with this. I wouldn't go buy a car by myself today. I don't know cars. I don't want to figure them out. I don't want to have to trust somebody at Open Door too. That's true, Scott. I don't want to have to trust somebody at a marketplace interaction where I'm trying to buy their car and they're clearly a liar. I would take someone who knows cars. Simply put, my brother-in-law is a baller. He knows cars. I would take him with me. I'm that guy for people in houses. I want them to take me so that I can actually help them, not squeeze out their commission money and move on. I want to take them the Reds game next year.
Nice.
Okay. Questions. Scott, Lindsay, Miranda, Patrick.
Yeah, I have one. When you were talking about, that basically your main database is your Insta. So I'm assuming that you have Insta followers that aren't past clients and things like that.
For sure.
So if you have 1,000 Instagram followers or 2,000 Instagram followers, are you basically inviting all them to your events?
Yeah, every single one of them.
Dude, that's awesome. By the way, the headset is not for calls. It's just for stuff like this, because I'm the same as you, man.
Wait, you missed there. You should have said it's just to look cool. That's all it is.
That too. Somebody asked one day, they said,
it's the whole vibe.
Somebody said to me the other day when I was walking through the hall, like, is your 18-wheeler parked outside?
No, I kept thinking that like that Tom Cruise is going to do a flyby and Scott's going to spill coffee.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, Scott, for us, that is, and obviously now any past
that's cool.
We have in command, so we can utilize MailChimp. We do have an actual, but our database is just our past clients. It's literally anybody that's bought or sold with us is in KW command. We can use that. But for Instagram and stuff, here's the way I look at it. It's not a like, ooh, got them, but it's like once someone follows us, I'm like, give them a couple of weeks and they won't be able to think about real estate without thinking about us. And the reason that is because I run our account like a personal account. I run it. It's never text-based. It's never anything random. It's always going to be a photo of somebody on my team, a photo of a really happy client, or a freaking sick photo of a house. That is it. Like, there's nothing else in between. It's going to be stuff that actually, when you see it, you're like, oh, that's awesome. Last thing, and this is to the Instagram point. I remember when I wasn't licensed and Sarah Woody posted a picture with some of my friends that she had helped buy a house. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, my friends worked with Sarah to buy a house. I never thought about buying a house in my entire life until I saw that post and thought, well, I guess if I ever buy a house, I'll call Sarah. Like, I remember that feeling. And I had a friend in Indy, the same thing. She sold multiple college friends' houses. And I thought, well, if I ever moved to Indianapolis, I guess I'd call Hannah. And I'll never forget that. And I'm like, I want everybody who's connected to people that have worked with us to know that their friends work with us and that they can trust us too. And I think that's what's allowed us to groom, expand in the way that we have also.
That's awesome. And you had said, so you got your own video guy, and you actually, and I loved what you said about that you're in your videos. Yep. So are you a YouTube channel? Is that your Instagram? Where are those at?
we're missing, and this is where I'm like, it frustrates me to be a perfectionist because I'm like, dude, I see your hand, Patrick. Thank you for putting that up, man. It really sucks to be a perfectionist because I'm like, our YouTube and our website are not what they should be. Like, they're not updated to the level they should be. They're not pushed. The SEO is not good. But to be honest, we're not marketing to the person that's never met us. We're trying to win the people that do know us. And at the end of the day, they already have an in with us, or they're recommended from one step away, and they can come and find us and be like, I'm comfortable with these people. They clearly are normal people and they know what they're doing. So typically it's at this point, I'm almost planning our videos around Instagram Reels. I'm like, if we're going to promote this house, what's it going to look like on Instagram? And then we have an unbranded one that we put on the MLS. For a hot second, we were putting up the ones with me in it, and then we got flagged, and I was like, oh, we can't do that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Smackdown from the MLS.
Patrick, what you want, boy?
No. So I find it interesting. I mean, obviously, I was talking to Robert about this. Just real quick, the reels have taken up most of the algorithm space through Instagram.
Yeah.
And people are seeing so much traction on reels, which is genius to be moving forward with that. But like, this is shifting gears a little bit about your events. You know, when I talk to you, we've been friends for a long time now. When I've talked to you about like your Reds game, for instance, you've talked about, you know, this isn't just an invite because you invited me. I've been to a few of them now, and it isn't just about his clients. It isn't just about, you know, his team's clients or anything like that, or past or present people who've used them. It's anybody who wants to go is allowed to go. So with that dynamic, you know, 1,300 tickets. Do you know what percentage of those tickets were to people who have never worked with you before or your team?
That's a good question. I've never gotten that question. What I always get is, of your 190 clients this year, where did you get them? And the answer is, they knew us. They knew us either from events, they knew us from social media, they knew us from a friend, they knew us from, like, we could track referrals, but almost everything else is impossible to track because it's like, well, I knew them from church, but then they followed us on Instagram, and then they came to the Reds game, and then they bought a house with us. Like, it's this weird, like, they were in my life. But when it comes to that, Patrick,
I guess that's essentially the same thing that I'm asking, because if these people come to your events, you're getting all their information anyways.
Yeah. And on the thing you filled out, like, we get your address, we get your stuff. I think it's probably a solid like 50-50 if I had to guess. Like, for the majority, when we scroll down, because we've sold whatever 300, 400 houses, like, that's a lot of couples, and if they're coming and bringing kids, that's a good portion of those groups. And like, think about this too, like the pop buys and like having to see your people multiple times a year to stay top of mind, or like intentional real estate conversations. Ours are coming to us. Like, it's a free version of swinging by their house because they come see you, remember that they like you. I had a closing the other day, and they kept talking about the Reds game. Like, they kept saying to their kids, remember Mr. Danny, you should thank him for the Reds game. I'm like, that was like 6 months ago. You don't have to thank me. You're going to another invite in 6 months. Like, go be back. So I think it's probably about half, Patrick, if I had to guess.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned Popeyes though. So you actually do Popeyes and have people come to your office to pick them up?
I was saying, so with my phrasing, I was thinking more of like, if you were swinging by somebody's house, I think Denise would call it like a pop by, if you were like swinging by and dropping something off. Here's my problem with Popeyes. Here's my real life example. I had a bunch of sweatshirts in my car last year. I was like, I'm swinging by 10 houses. I'm dropping these off. I'm saying what's up. First house, 2 hours. I was there literally catching up with people that were basically like my second parents growing up. They're not even a past client, but they are one of my clients' parents. And if they ever do sell, I promise you they're not calling anybody else. But at the same time, I had the greatest, awesome, spiritual, amazing filled conversation with two people I love. And then I realized it was like 3 p.m. and I could swing by like one more house. So my issue with that is, instead of trying to swing by for like 10 seconds and drop something off and leave, I'm like, gosh, we're bringing everybody to us. Because
and I know the class that Denise teaches, she says she leaves her car rented.
Yeah,
so she
I
has
love that tactic.
but you I think there's a lot of similarities in our personalities, because I couldn't just walk away. I mean, I would have been there for 2 hours too.
I love them.
Yeah. And so one of the things we started doing is, we've got a gal on our team who does our signs and everything.
Yeah.
We have her deliver Popeyes.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword, like, okay, should it be Jill or I in front of them delivering that Popeye, having those conversations? But then again, I like to think that it's the thought that counts, that we were thinking of them, that we're loving on them, and that could go just as far.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've
Oh, your name that's
systematized-
being remembered.
Yeah.
I've systematized referrals with that, Scott. I have a Google form where the second somebody says, hey, I called you because this person told me, before I even read the rest of their text, I've already texted that person the Google form. They fill it out. It goes to Amber on my team. She writes the handwritten note and she mails them a Yeti, or she mails them a Chick-fil-A gift card, or she mails them a Grader's gift card. Again, I just send them things I love. I don't really waste too much time thinking
That's
about
for like a referral.
for
That was
referral.
for-
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know.
somebody says, hey, somebody
we
sent you
coach-
away, whatever.
Yeah, we coach with Tom Ferry, and it's always like reward the action, not the result.
Yep.
So if somebody sends it, whether they buy a house or not, reward the action. Yeah, I like
100%.
that. That's awesome.
Aaron Smith taught me that early. Incentivize the behavior that you want. And if somebody's already doing it, my gosh, promote that and send them something to make them feel good. And I
big
get
time.
it. When I get a handwritten note in the mail with a gift card, I'm always like, wow, that was really cool. They went above and
Yeah.
beyond to send that. And even if it was just from their team, I'm still like, that was dope. You sent me a gift card. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter if it was from them or not. If compared to nothing, I'd whole rather, and this is, you asked about things I do versus things I've handed off, Robert. Referrals were up to me, there was a point when it was just me as an agent where I had a Post-it note and I ran out of room on the Post-it note because I kept adding bullet points with people I needed to send gifts. And eventually, a year later, I crumpled it up and threw it away because I'd responded to 0 of the people that sent me a referral. And that was when I went to my team because we brought somebody on. I said, I need a Google form and I need you guys to handle it because it will never happen if I'm supposed to do this. I learned that about myself. I wouldn't have thought that, but if I'm on the road all day, I can't possibly, dude, there are days I can't even get to my laptop. I get to home at like 6:30. I'm like, I was in the car from 8:30 a.m. until right now and bombing back emails and stuff, but I wasn't at my laptop to run comps or to do whatever I need to do. So having those extra tasks on top, I just had to learn to dish those out, and it's changed my life pretty dramatically.
Sure. Lindsay, Miranda, you guys got anything?
I don't know. Thank you, though. This is Miranda.
All right. Well, Danny, this has been awesome. And Scott, Miranda, Lindsay, Patrick, I appreciate you stopping in and checking
Hold on,
it out.
Robert, before you go.
Yeah.
I think we have to ask Danny if there is a video of him on the trampolines at the trampoline park.
You better,
We gotta see that.
believe. All right, Scott. My favorite thing. This is my marketing mind at work. Before we did the event, I was like, "Hey, Mark, do you think you can pull this off?" And he had me. I'm wearing like a suit or like business clothes, and I jump, I leave the screen, and I come back in athletic clothes, and then I like
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
point at the camera and I'm like, you got to be there. So
That's
like
awesome.
at the event itself, like I've already
love
shown
it.
you in my videos, like, yeah, I'm professional and all that, but I'm wearing Nikes today at the event. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of events, I want to make sure I say this because he's on here and I don't want to get on his bad side. And plus I'm sponsoring it, but the Christmas party, the ugly sweater Christmas party is on the 15th, right?
I didn't know this was ugly sweaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're giving stuff away too. So it's we've got some iPad. We got an iPad we're giving away. We're giving away some Apple Watches, some gift baskets.
I'm ready to win some crap. I only ever give it away. I'm ready to win, baby.
I
Yeah,
know.
you and
Well,
me both. You and me
I'm
both.
just saying, guys, I may or may not be one of the judges. So,
Yeah.
Ooh.
your attendance here helps.
Danny already RSVP'd, so he's in.
Yeah, I'm dragging Mitch and Johnny with me. I don't really know if I'm allowed to bring Mitch.
I
to
mean,
these
hey,
events,
can you
but-
resend me the invite? Because I do not remember seeing it. Maybe you
Yeah,
didn't send me
Scott.
one. Maybe I'm
I'll
off the
shoot it
list.
over.
I don't
I'll
know.
shoot it over.
Yeah, Scott. You saw the prizes and now you want in.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bring the
Well,
whole-
I have a it's a sure win, ugly sweater, sweatshirt kind of thing.
Okay.
That is almost, I'm sitting here thinking about, like, could I wear this to church? Probably not. I don't know that it has anything offensive other than it's just really ugly.
Just
Yeah,
bring the whole team if you guys want. I mean, it's all about collaboration and rubbing elbows
Relationships.
with like-minded individuals and building relationships. So like
Yeah.
that's the best. This is one of my favorite events because it's so simple and it's just come in, ugly sweater, win some prizes, and then collaborate with the best of the city. So
Let's go. If
Right.
we have other agents that want to come, is that cool, Patrick?
yeah, for sure. Just RSVP so I know. But
Gotcha.
but yeah, December 15th, Thursday from 3 to 5. It's just going to be like an early happy hour and, kind of kick everybody off into the holiday season. And
Yep.
I dig it.
Um,
Let's go.
So sounds like I'm going to see you guys there. I also want to tell you next week, I've got Amy Markowski. I'm pretty pumped about that. I
Nice,
just
let's
keep
go.
getting great ideas of people to come on. Scott's going to be a guest soon. There, we've said it. It's recorded. Scott's going to make it happen. And Miranda told me after the first of the year, she's going to be a guest. So listen, guys, I really appreciate it. Danny, I thought you brought some amazing stuff today.
Yeah, good job.
I appreciate the support, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas.
All right,
Thanks.
guys. Have a great holiday if I don't run into any of you.
Oh, we'll see you next week.
Next
That's
week,
right,
bring
at
that
the
sweater,
event.
Scott.
Yeah.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
See ya.
crazy. See ya.
Bye.